they have a security wall. It's a gated community. Now, these are things you don't associate with ordinary Kenyans. These are things that you associate with leafy suburbs. So, government intervention took away almost half the cost of the project for ordinary Kenyans to own those homes. Why is that a bad thing? Now, because I want to finish this one, then tuende kuulizana maswali. If you take the 7.6 million, because, and now I'm introducing the housing fund, because that's the elephant in the room. If we left the private sector to deliver this house at 7.650, you got a number hapo hivi, then you go to a bank, when the HF ama KCB ama hizo zingine, you are lucky to get more than 10 years financing. The interest rate today for people they consider to have a good credit record is 15%. But remember, banks price risk. So if it's a normal hustler who's going there saying that I want a house, what rate do you think they're going to get? If at all, the bank might even throw away those on some way. You don't those things corridor zetu. But let's take the average, 15%. Very conservative. 7.65, if you pay a 10% deposit and you pay interest at 15% for 10 years, is 111,000 every month. Now, let me just make a guess. I don't know how much journalists earn. But let me take a guess. That amount there, most of us in this room cannot afford. And probably they don't earn that kind of money, what it will cost you. But look at the alternative. I have taken out all the costs. It is 3 million. But I still want you to pay 10% deposit. Now, we financed Kenyans who own homes there at 7% versus 15%. We gave them 25 years versus 10 to pay for those houses through a tenant purchase scheme in National Housing Corporation. The result is they are paying me 19,000. So good people. 19,000 versus 111. Now, most of you here, I'm sure where you're paying rent, you're paying more than 19,000 or thereabout. So, how is 19,000 a bad thing? And why should we leave the market to dictate the terms so that you pay 111%? And therefore, ladies and gentlemen, that brings me to the solution. What is the solution? Our solution, and as I said, it's not a perfect solution, but it is a good plan. What is our solution? Our solution, first of all, starts on the basis of shared prosperity. Number two, our solution is based on Section 31 of the Employment Act, which says that every employer has a responsibility to provide housing to their people, by the way, and it says close to where they work. Let me tell you something. Park Road, where it is, majority of you will walk to work. You don't even need to get a car. It's close by. And even if it's KTN ambao mko Mombasa Road, unaingia expressway kidogo, unaingia hapo, uko job from Park Road. And zingine ambazo tunajenga. So, today, even if your employer is giving you a house allowance, tell me, if we leave it to the market, how much is it going to cost you? 111,000. It means majority of you will not qualify. You'll never get a house. Your alternative is a SACCO model, which has done a lot for many Kenyans. But I know a thing or two about SACCO model and housing. Because me, I was born in an informal settlement in Nakuru, Bondeni. That's where I was born. Usiangalie tumbo yangu mnadhani mimi nilizaliwa huko nini. So, my father was a civil servant, was earning 6,500 shillings. He joined the SACCO called Ngwatanero. Huko Bahati, mnajua. We went and bought land, just like everybody else. We got a quarter of an acre. And we started the home ownership journey. 9 years later, by the time my dad was resting, was passing away, we had never finished building that house. That is the story of many Kenyans. Eventually, you will own it, but after 9 years. So I want to ask you another question. What is so wrong with me assisting you to own a home in the next 2 years versus 9 years? Is that a bad thing? If it's not a bad thing, then why don't we come and say, yo plan yako ni mzuri, lakini hapa hivi twende hivi. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you what our solution is. In very simple terms, our solution is not a solution that is just crazy we thought about. We went to benchmark. We went to Singapore. We went to Mexico. We went to Brazil. We went to Nigeria. We went to China. Many different places. And some of them we went to benchmark so that we know how not to do it. Because some of them, they have failed. What did they do? They said, let's save together. And that is a principle that most of us understand here because you belong to a chama somewhere or a sacco somewhere. So let's save together. And they did. And they told the employer, you save this, the employee will save that. Number two, they said, once we pull this money together, and it is driven by law, because I know most of you are saying, where is we fanya hiki tukue voluntary? You see, when it is driven by law, if I'm going to get $1 billion a month, it means I can confidently go out there and call investors and tell them, for as long as that law is there, 3 years from now, I'll still be collecting the $1 billion. So let me tell you in simple terms. You know today something called fuel levy. We all pay fuel levy today if you're driving. Fuel levy is the one that has enabled us to build all these roads you're seeing here. Why? Because we've gone to the market and we told the market, here is the history. There is this levy here. We are collecting so much, and you look after the last 10 years, there has been an increase. So give us a lot of money today. We build those roads, but in the next 15 years, we will still be paying that fuel levy and we'll be able to pay you out. If we didn't have that, guess what is going to happen? What was going to happen was they will tell us, no, you can't afford it. Our housing fund works in the same way. It is a mandatory contribution by employer and employee. And as Hussein has said, we have capped it at 2,500. So the highest earning Kenyan will only pay 2,500 shillings. Majority of Kenyans will pay 1,000 and below. That's number one. But then we pool our money together. And I have not even brought in the people who are going to pay voluntarily. Then what happens? We pay into this fund. Then, as a country, we are able to go out there to the market and we call investors and we tell them, the Kenyan government is providing land at no cost, like I have done in Park Road, for Kenyans to own homes. The Kenyan government is committed to bring infrastructure to that site. The Kenyan government is prepared to take away all these costs of approval. All I want you to do is bring your money, build those houses en masse. That's important. Build those houses en masse, and then when you finish building those houses, give me the keys, I pay you, you go. If I don't have the housing fund, they will ask me, how will you fund me when I finished in 3 years' time? Alafu tanza Kiingereza mingi, waseme hapana, hii siwezi jenga. That's why you need certainty of cash flows every month coming in into this fund so that we can get as many investors, which is foreign money that is coming in here, and also the domestic money that we have, so that we build those houses. So forget about what they're talking about, it's a tax. And let me address that part. Good people, you all pay taxes today because you're employed, so you're paying payroll tax. I pay payroll tax. I don't know how many of you have been to Moyale here, but do you know we have a road that goes all the way to Moyale? That road was built using your taxes, but you have no direct benefit from that money because you may never ever go to Moyale. That is what tax is. But what is a saving? What is this housing fund contribution? Housing fund conveys to you or confers you a direct right. It's a direct right to you. Why? Because you will either get an affordable unit, which is highly subsidized, or after 7 years, if you don't want it, we give you back your money plus your return. And now, as I wind up, you are all employed here. So, if I left, let's assume all of us here average, we're going to pay 1,000 shillings. If you're paying 1,000 shillings, and you took that 1,000 shillings and you put it in a fixed deposit in a bank today, how much return do you think you're going to get? 70 shillings after 1 year. 67%. That's how much you're going to get. But by taking that 1,000 shillings and putting it in the housing fund, what are you getting? Because a lot of people are also talking about return. What are you getting? As an employee, first of all, you get 100% return on day one. You ask me, Hinga na smoke kitu. You know, nyinyi hamuelewi hii maneno. The minute you put your money in the housing fund, the employer contributes for you another 1,000. So on day one, your 1,000 inaza to another 1,000. Na ni pesa yako. How can that be a bad thing? Sasa, unless ni Shylock, uko nje, where can you get 100% return? So for employees, to be quite honest, this is what I call a sweetheart deal. It is a good deal. It is a very good deal. Now, when you get the house, I am also helping you. As I said, you don't pay stamp duties if you're a first-time homeowner. And as you pay up to 300,000 a year interest, I give you back as mortgage relief. So, ladies and gentlemen, I have set the scene. We know where we are right now. We know where we want to go. And by the way, let me just say one more thing, or two more things quickly. One, the rules of this chama of ours, this national circle, are one ID, one house. One ID, one house. You cannot buy more than one unit. So ile ati watanenda nunue nyumba 100 you cannot. It is one ID, one house. Number two, for even the people who are making a lot of noise, because they are there and some of them have genuine issues, they say, why are you talking to me about a house? I already own one, or I'm already paying for one. Now, I'm assuming those are parents. And those parents perhaps are still living with their kids. Grown-up kids, 27, 28 years, are still living with their parents. Why? Because what is the alternative rental market out there? How much can that young man, young lady who is just starting life, how much rent can they pay? If there is no affordable rental, they end up in pipeline, where we call them tenements, ama Zimmerman. So they opt to stay with their children at home. To them, I am telling them, that money that you're contributing, you can confer it to your child. Even a child who is like my daughter, my firstborn daughter turned 15 last week. I can confer that benefit to her, so that by the time she gets to 18, she can have a unit. Can you imagine, good people, that your parents, the first thing as you got into the job market, they gave you a unit? That is how we are able to do it on this particular program.